Did you get plenty of pictures? Jason asked Carl now. The driver waited while I took them. Carl smiled. Caroline wanted to get here, but I said everyone would wait for us. The guests had waited at the barn for an informal commitment ceremony. The church had been too small for more than just family. Caroline and Carl stood in front of their guests, restating their vows to one another. They'd written them. Jason had given them help with that, suggesting some popular songs, poems, quotes from books his previous clients had used before. Guests helped themselves to a buffet, because Caroline didn't want everyone formally sitting in set places. She wanted the guests to circulate, and for friends from the different parts of their lives to mix. This allowed Caroline and Carl to move from table to table. There was no top table at this wedding. Are you staying for the disco? Carl asked now. Jason liked to dance, but he had to drive home, and he knew that by the time the music started, most of the guests would be pretty jolly, having drunk the carver upon arrival at the barn, the free wine on the tables, and probably been to the bar to top up with their own money a few times. I'll wait to check it's all right and then slip off. Whatever works for you. Thanks, mate. Carl shook his hand. For everything. I never thought I'd cope with the stress. That's why we never bothered before. I couldn't deal with all the aggro. Jason smiled. That was what he did. Worked out what the clients wanted and made it happen, taking on all the aggro himself so they didn't need to. Well, that's kind of the point. Will you say goodbye to Caroline before you go? I will. Carl grinned, waved, and left, slipping into the melee of people standing by tables, talking, eating the last bits of food left. Pete would have enjoyed a dance, Jason reflected. Early in the days of them dating, Pete had once led an impromptu kickline at a pub when the latest number one I'm a Movie Star from the Fridays, his favourite girl band, had started. Jason had leaned against the wall and watched Pete on stage, gathering others by gesturing and dancing alone on the stage. By the chorus, there were a dozen men and women kicking and dancing, arms looped together to the chorus, singing, shouting mostly, that they were movie stars, and that's what they really are. Jason smiled at the memory. He knew then that life with Pete would never be dull, that he'd love Pete, and one day they'd marry. The music started. Jason checked the time, exactly on schedule. He walked past the tables, onto the dance floor, a corner of the barn with shiny wooden flooring surrounded by chairs against the walls. The DJ stood behind a wall of flashing lights and glanced at his laptop screen, looking up as Jason approached. Everything okay? I'm about to go. Just checking you know about the change in music for their first dance. Going underground, isn't it? That had been Carl's attempt at a joke to wind up Caroline. Jason shook his head. It's All You Need Is Love by the Beatles. The DJ scrolled with his mousepad. Sorted, thanks. Jason shook his hand, walked across the dance floor. He stood by the door as the DJ announced the first dance. Caroline and Carl walked onto the dance floor, holding hands. They stood in the middle, staring into one another's eyes as the song started. His work here was done. He waved goodbye to Carl as he looked over Caroline's shoulder. Jason knew he should say goodbye to them both, but didn't want to interrupt, nor did he want to stay much longer. The night wasn't about him. It was about them, and they shouldn't need to worry about saying goodbye and thanking him. Seeing their perfect wedding day all come together was reward enough for Jason. He grabbed his jacket, thanked the bar staff, and left. His final wedding with Cotswold's curated weddings, although his boss didn't know that yet. Jason was determined to have a new job before his next wedding took place, which gave him 4 weeks. He walked to his car. Guests stood outside smoking, drinking, dancing, chatting. Men in suits, women in formal dresses, all manner of hats, fascinators abounded. He loved seeing how people's versions of dressing up could vary so much. He'd seen one guest at a wedding arrive in a tracksuit. Leaning against his car, he turned to look at the barn, surrounded by countryside, crunchy gravel in the car park. The faint chorus of "Come on, Eileen" filled the air, and he smiled. God, he loved his job.